Love-hate quarterbacks. We start with Tua. Tua comes in as QB3 against the Commanders. Sorry, Matthew, but we just got to make you talk about this all the time. The Commanders secondary, it's great for the pass catchers, great for the quarterbacks. Tua headlines the quarterbacks love.
It's great for fantasy managers. Yeah. Dolphins have the highest implied team total this week of 30. Four of the past 5 quarterbacks to face the Commanders have scored 22 fantasy points. And since week 8, no team in the NFL allows touchdown passes at a higher rate in the NFL than my beloved Washington Commanders. And this one's a weird one, but I don't remember the last time Ron Rivera coached a defense. Ron Rivera is going to coach the defensive plays. Like for all the struggles that Jack Del Rio had, at least he was doing it every week. When was the last time? I couldn't tell you when the last time Ron Rivera actually had to call plays in a game as a defense coordinator. I don't necessarily think it's going to be an upgrade here, especially given what they're working on as well. So yeah, Tua is my QB3 this week.
The next one, Jay, you'll like to hear this. Brock Purdy, he comes in as QB6. He talked about his strengths kind of fitting against this Philadelphia defense.
Yep. And look, I think Brock Purdy's going to have a really good game because of the matchup, because of how much the Philly secondary has struggled. But this is a big game for Brock. There's no hiding if he has a bad game in this one, because this game has been built up. Everyone is expecting the Niners to win. I expect they'll win. I expect he'll play well. But a lot of pressure on Brock in this one, who he's not played in a lot of big games. And all eyes are going to be on this matchup on Sunday afternoon.
Our final one here, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew, he's got the Bengals. He comes in as QB7. Great back-to-back stretch here for Trevor Lawrence. That has also started to use his legs a little bit, but is getting it done through the air.
Since week 7, Cincinnati is allowing a league-high 9.1 yards per pass attempt. For the past 5 quarterbacks to face the Bengals have scored at least 18 fantasy points as well. And so you mentioned it. Back-to-back 20-point games with Trevor Lawrence. His 3 best fantasy games have come in the past 5 weeks. Finally seeming to, look like Trevor Lawrence as we see him running against the Saints from that Thursday night game a few weeks ago here as well. So he's gotten a couple rushing touchdowns over the last couple of weeks as well. So T-Law, as I like to call him. Yeah, this should be a good game for him. He's my quarterback 7 this week.
A couple others receiving votes. Sam Howell comes in as a top 10 play. Same with Russell Wilson against the Texans, and then Jared Goff against the Saints. Jay, could be a viable streaming option as QB12 here.
Yeah, Jared Goff, who will look to bounce back from that atrocious performance on Thanksgiving against the Saints defense that is missing Marshall Lattimore on IR and doesn't seem super imposing at the moment. It's a big game for Russell Wilson. A lot of hype around Russell Wilson at the moment. I don't think he's playing phenomenally well. I think he's playing fine. He's managing games, but against the Texans defense that is improving, see how he does there. And then Sam Howell, just through volume alone and what should be a passing game script, should get there.
Jared Goff is always really good when he has a clean pocket. Saints 28th in pressure rate over the last month as well. You mentioned no Marshawn Lattimore. The game's on the road, but it's in a dome where Goff usually performs well.
Cameron Jordan also banged up and may not play.
Which is nice. Last 4 weeks, Texans allow over 21 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. We expect C.J. Stroud at home to have another big game, so Russ is going to have to throw, I think, to keep up with C.J. Stroud. And future Hall of Famer Sam Howell in the preseason, this man right here, go wide, Tricia, because this man right here, I want everyone to see. This man called me Travis Homer because of my preseason love
no one got the
of
joke
Sam Howell. And as we sit here, as we enter Week 13, Sam Howell is the 7th best quarterback in fantasy in terms of total points.
Yep, no, I'll eat crow on that one. Sam Howell's been he's been voluminously productive.
Yes.
He's gotten there. I'm not sure that's really a term.
That was part of the argument. It's the Blake Bortles thing. And I think he's better than Bortles, but I mean, it was like Blake Bortles, for all the jokes, Blake Bortles was a top 10 fantasy quarterback for a couple of years there.
Blake Bortles outplayed Tom Brady in the AFC title game in Foxborough, and he got screwed because of the Miles Jack thing.
100%.
We'll never let this game go.
Should have been in the Super Bowl.
The Jaguars should have played in the Super Bowl.
People
I 100% agree about that. The Miles Jack, that call was awful. And he wasn't down, and Jaguars should have played in the Super Bowl. They got screwed. They totally did.
Our quarterback hate list headlined by Geno Smith.
And the worst part of it is that's the only time that the Patriots have gotten a call in Foxborough. What are the odds?
That's right. What are the chances of that? A rare time.
They've had the Billy Cundiff miss as well, that kick from Baltimore. They've gotten some really lucky, the Patriots, a lot of times.
Some time, Billy Cundiff.
But at least David Tyree did make that catch.
There you go.
Geno Smith headlines the hate list for quarterbacks. He's QB 18. We know what the Cowboys pass rush can do, Matthew, and Geno's been banged up this year, as has Tyler Lockett. Kenneth Walker's not playing. There's just not a lot right for the Seahawks offense in a brutal matchup.
The question becomes, do you think Geno Smith runs one in? Because if he doesn't run one in, you don't love it. There's only 5 quarterbacks that have scored at least 17 fantasy points against the Cowboys this year, and 3 of them had a rushing touchdown or at least 50 rushing yards. And I just don't know that I see that for Geno. It's always possible. But only 2 quarterbacks, this is a crazy stat, only 2 quarterbacks have thrown for even 230 yards against the Cowboys this season as well. And so Geno, who doesn't really play well under pressure, right? He's 27th in yards per pass attempt when he's pressured. Well, guess what? Who leads the NFL in pressure rate? It's Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. So even in a game, even in a week in which there's 6 teams on a bye, I have Geno Smith outside my top 15. And in negative game script, which should, in theory, work for Geno. It's just, I'm just not seeing it. I'm not excited about him tonight.
This Geno era in Seattle, I don't think they've ever beaten a really good team. And they just seem to play very much to the level of competition. I think that with that offensive line, I think that the Cowboys should be teeing off on him tonight.
Our final one, Jay, Matthew Stafford. He comes in as QB 21 for Matthew. He has not had a game where he's thrown for more than 231 passing yards since week 4.
Yeah, which is just strange.
The injury, but also when he's been healthy, too.
Yeah, and there's been some, like, he would have gone over that against the Cardinals if they needed to throw in the 4th quarter. But against this Cleveland defense, I think he's a very defense-dependent quarterback because he can't really move that much back there. And with Myles Garrett, it looks like he will go. Browns coming off a loss, expect that they'll give them his best game.
Cleveland's allowed 1 or fewer touchdown passes in 8 of 11 games so far this year. The only quarterbacks that have scored even 14 points against Cleveland have all scored a rushing touchdown, which is not really a big part of Stafford's game. I know he had the monster game last week, but yeah, outside my top 20 this week in a week in which there's 6 teams on a bye. It was hard to find quarterbacks to hate this week. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.